Hey, it's Coach Rob. We just wanted to talk about the quarterback play this past weekend. Probably three games that everybody paid attention to. First in the NFL, Russell Wilson with a big win in overtime over Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Russell Wilson's probably going to win the MVP this year. Lamar Jackson is right there with him. Two guys having a great year. In college, of course, LSU over Alabama. I think Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa are two incredible quarterbacks that are having great years. Of course, Tua coming back from the ankle injury and Burrow just continuing to find ways to win. And then a game that maybe not as many people watched, but it was a great game, Minnesota defeating Penn State, who was number 4, and now Minnesota in the top 10 trying to get into the mix of the playoff. Wanted to talk specifically this week about quarterbacks who seem to have the it factor. What is the it factor, and how do we actually break that down? What I used to say with other coaches as we would see younger kids, maybe in junior high, certainly in high school, sometimes you see kids that they seem to just have a short memory. They seem to be so focused on having a great time playing or playing hard, or they just have so much fun out there. And it tends to be the kids that really enjoy themselves. They have a short memory when it comes to mistakes. They'll make a mistake, and then a second later, they're just going hard again. They don't have time to stop and think about, man, I made a big mistake there. Coach is going to be mad at me. My teammates are going to lose confidence in me. And then all of a sudden, the weight of the world kind of gathers over those kids and over those shoulders. But that's something that good quarterbacks always avoid. They avoid thinking and dwelling about mistakes, and they really gravitate toward that short memory, which really, to me, is the moxie, the it factor, the confidence that you see in, for example, the season that Joe Burrow is having. Here's the thing about Joe that I really notice, and I'll get to the Penn State-Minnesota game in a second. Joe Burrow does not seem to care anything about anything negative. Think about that for a second. He does not care about negative stuff. In fact, he almost mocks negative stuff. A few weeks ago, I think it was the Mississippi State game, he had his pants pulled down and he basically mooned the world with his bare butt, getting pictures taken, everything. He joked about it. He wasn't embarrassed for a second. He just thought it was funny. Why would he joke about that? I mean, of course, you don't want to, dwell on it or look weak, or you want to appear like a guy that's got it together. But the reality of it is, Joe Burrow does not care about stuff that gets in the way of winning. And when you're so focused on the winning part, you are able to eliminate distractions of everything else that's going on. I think the difference in the game between LSU and Alabama was, quite frankly, the fact that LSU has been in a few tight games this year, and collectively as a team, LSU believes this is their year. They really believe that. Coach O is an emotional coach. Coach O is a guy that is very passionate and is all about buy-in. Saban is a little bit more of a cerebral coach. He's a little bit more of a, do your job guy as opposed to win for me type of a coach. And it's interesting because Saban does have a lot of turnover every year, but Saban's got a great system that seems to work year after year. But this could be evidence of that sort of catching up with Saban, although the system will always outlast the passion. That's another topic for another day. But back to Joe Burrow, I want to mention the it factor as it relates to the Minnesota-Penn State game. The Minnesota quarterback, and I apologize for not remembering the names of these guys because it's the first time I've seen Minnesota or Penn State play this year, but the Minnesota quarterback, he's a 6-foot quarterback, and he absolutely did not care about mistakes. He was incredibly accurate and incredibly smart with the football throughout the game. They got, I think every drive they had in the first half was a touchdown. He had a phenomenal game. We'll see how that translates as they get to, playing Ohio State, which of course that's going to be a huge game. But the Penn State quarterback was interesting because I thought at the beginning of the game he was very hesitant. He was very tentative, and he almost looked like he was hoping to complete some passes, but didn't really seem to have a lot of confidence. Now, to his credit, in the second quarter, right at the end of the first half, he did a phenomenal job getting his team down in scoring position. But Minnesota came back out in the second half, and I think the quarterback for Penn State was still kind of waffling on confidence. Now, in his defense, it's really not in his defense, but the truth is, Penn State receivers dropped about 5 key passes throughout the game, and that's gonna weigh down on a quarterback naturally. But he wasn't able to ignore that and forget about it for whatever reason. And then there at the end of the game, they were right there in the game, had a chance to score on the last play, and routes weren't run really well. It was trips on the left side. I don't know if anybody saw this, but the middle receiver was running the seam route right up the hash, and they ran a dig from the outside receiver, and the seam route got pushed off of his route, so he got really close to the X receiver, and the X receiver only had one chance to catch a pass, and that would have been a low right to the base of the numbers throw coming right out of the break. And he was late on his throw, and it almost looked like you couldn't tell if he was throwing to the seam or the dig. So anyway, the Minnesota quarterback was able to keep that focus, and that's what Joe Burrow has done all year. That's what the great ones in the NFL all do. They all are able to eliminate distractions, and they are focused on the goal. They are focused on the positive, and they're not wavered from that. I think Tua is the same way. He obviously kept Alabama in the game to the end, but when you really look at the LSU-Alabama game, 46-41 was a little bit deceiving because Derek Stingley, the freshman corner who is tremendous, had a couple of unfortunate plays where he lost his feet that were 2 long touchdown passes for Alabama, and then they had a punt return. So really, the LSU defense, other than Stingley, and the LSU offense, they really dominated the game against Alabama, and they had that close win against Auburn. They had a tough road win earlier in the year against Texas. LSU is the real deal, and I think everybody believes that. But in terms of Joe Burrow, the thing that is making him great right now is not a tremendous arm. It's not even tremendous athletic ability, although he seems to find ways to scramble and make plays with his feet. He is just absolutely focused on making his team a winner. And that is the difference in LSU and a lot of other teams this year in terms of the quarterback play. But LSU, top to bottom, has got playmakers and a great team at every position all over the field. They're going to be very difficult to stop. I'll be very interested to see if Georgia emerges in the East, if they give LSU a game. And then, of course, they need to win the SEC championship game. And then Clemson is another team that doesn't seem to be really battle-tested, but they've got a chip on their shoulder, and we're going to find out what Trevor Lawrence is made of. I do think with Trevor Lawrence, this season, he seems to be having not as good of a season. I would argue that the difference in this season and last season is that Trevor's a little bit more distracted this year. Trevor feels a little bit more weight on his shoulders this year. Last year, he was a freshman. He had nothing to lose. He also had an NFL defensive line, and the Clemson defense was the best in the country. He's still got playmakers at receiver, but Trevor's going to have to find a way to keep that focus on the positive if Clemson's going to have a shot to win it all. But as of right now, I really don't see anything stopping LSU or Joe Burrow. And LSU, it seems like for years, has had the best athletes in the country. They just haven't had an offense. And so Ensminger, the new quarterback coach, and Joe Burrow, kudos to them because they're doing some great things. Thanks again for checking this out. I'd love your feedback. Anybody who has some thoughts or questions, I'd love to keep a dialogue going.